I get it. When you're scrolling through a sea of gaming laptops, the glossy photos and hype-filled specs can feel like a promise that a lot of other people have already broken. You click on a sleek 14-inch Ultrabook, see a radium-colored chassis, and imagine it will handle every AAA title you throw at it. Then the box arrives, you power it up, and the fan spins louder than a nightclub. The battery barely makes it through a coffee break, and the display, though gorgeous, doesn't actually help you win any matches. That's the nightmare I'm trying to spare you from. So let's dig into the ASUS ROG Zephyrus G14 AI gaming laptop and see if it lives up to the hype or ends up another looks great, plays poorly story. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the G14 isn't just a regular notebook, it's the result of a decade-long experiment in squashing desktop-grade performance into a 14-inch chassis. The centerpiece is the 2.8K OLED panel, offering 2880x1800 resolution at 120 Hz. In practice, that means every texture in a game like Cyberpunk 2077 is razor-sharp, and the deep blacks give you an extra edge in darker scenes, something you'll actually notice when you're hunting enemies in the shadows of a dense forest map. On the flip side, the OLED's absolute color fidelity pushes the GPU harder, drawing more power and generating a bit more heat than a typical 1080p LCD would. If you're the type who worries about battery life lasting through a 2-hour gaming session, you'll find yourself plugging in after about an hour of sustained play, especially at higher graphics settings. The heart of the machine is a Zen 4 Gen Ryzen 9 7950HS, clocking up to 5.2 GHz on demand. In short bursts, think quick load levels or a brief sprint through a boss fight, the CPU hits those turbo speeds without breaking a sweat. For longer sessions, though, the 200W power brick does its best to keep the chip cool, but the fans still crank up noticeably. In my own testing, running an 80-minute marathon of Assassin's Creed Valhalla at high settings kept the fan noise hovering around 45 dB, which is audible but not intrusive if you're using a headset with active noise cancellation. However, if you work in a quiet studio or share a room with someone trying to study, that fan roar can become a distraction. Keyboard feel is a common pain point on compact laptops, and the G14 tries to address it with its perky RGB backlighting and a slightly deeper travel than the average ultra-thin slab. The keys register swiftly, which is great for rapid builds in games like Fortnite, but the travel is still short enough that you might miss a few keystrokes if you're used to a mechanical board. The trade-off is partly due to the chassis thickness, just 0.7 inches, so the designers had to compromise on key depth to keep the laptop portable. If you're a competitive esport player who values every millimeter of key travel, you might feel a bit constrained. On the other hand, casual gamers and creative professionals who also type for long stretches will likely find it comfortable enough. Battery life is where the G14 shows its most practical limitation. The 73WH for cell pack gives you roughly 4 to 5 hours of mixed usage browsing, light photo editing, and a couple of indie games at modest settings. Push it into a AAA title at 2.8K, 120 Hz, and you're looking at about 2 hours before the charger starts buzzing. That's a reality check if you imagine taking this laptop to a coffee shop for a full gaming session. The upside, however, is its portability. The whole thing weighs just under 3.5 pounds and slips easily into a backpack, so you can carry a desktop-class machine to a friend's house without needing a cart. If you need a laptop that can survive a full day of work, meetings, and a quick round of Valorant without hunting for a power outlet, you may want to look at a larger 15-inch model with a bigger battery. Now let's talk about the practical strengths that matter once the box is opened. The 1TB PCIe NVMe SSD is a solid speed boost for loading times. Games load in seconds, and large game files never feel like they're bottlenecked. The inclusion of a USB-C 3.2 port with DisplayPort support and an HDMI output makes it easy to hook up a 4K monitor for a home gaming rig or a quick second screen while you work on spreadsheets. The DockStorm portable USB hub, which comes packaged, is a nice little add-in if you need extra USB-A ports, though you'll still have to manage cable clutter if you run multiple peripherals. Who should buy the G14? If you're a gamer who values high-resolution visuals, wants a laptop that can also double as a portable workstation for video editing or 3D modeling, and you're comfortable plugging in after an hour of intense play, this is a solid match. The aesthetic platinum white with subtle RGB accents also appeals to creators who want a machine that looks as good on a desk as it does on a